thank you for tuning in to this episode of the ClearanceJobs Game Show. I am your host, Katie Helbling, and we have Phoebe Wells. Phoebe, I feel so bad that we keep doing this to you. One of these days, we're going to have to bring on another guest for the ClearanceJobs Game Show. But we have Phoebe Wells, our PR and Partnerships Manager here. And today, I mean, this is one of our fave topics, obviously, security clearances, including like facility security clearances, other sort of weird quirks when it comes to national security. So I'm going to be asking her questions about security clearances. And like I said, that's our favorite topic, obviously. So whether you are tuning in and you don't have a clearance, it is going to help you gain insights into what that process looks like, maybe how to make it go a little bit smoother for yourself. And then, of course, if you just need to brush up on security clearance terms and you do have an active clearance, this is going to help you out as well. So, Phoebes, thanks for joining. And how are we doing today?
Thank you. And I'm doing well. I am excited to test my knowledge on this very crucial to our day-to-day business structure as well as the country. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how I do. No promises on my knowledge, but
Well, and no pressure. So, Phoebes, I mean, you just came up on a year of working at
oh,
clearancejobs.com. And so, have you had any other exposure to the security clearance process prior to that?
just my dad. He had a security clearance when he was part of a joint terrorism task force with the FBI. So he was part New York State Police, part FBI, and he had to have a clearance for that. So I did get to watch him go through the process. And I remember specifically talking to him about the polygraph and just being like, wanting to know everything that went down, everything that was said. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's a pretty intense process.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, funny enough, so Phoebes and I have talked about this for all of you listeners and viewers. I have become a podcast person, which is crazy because every time people were talking about like Serial and all these murder podcasts, I'm like, I don't get the hype. But I just listened to a podcast and it happened to touch on the polygraph, but from more of a criminal standpoint. But yeah, super intense. I mean, the validity of the polygraph still comes up in question, especially if you follow forums and Reddits and blogs online. But still, it is a part of the security clearance process if you are getting a full scope, CI, lifestyle poly, if any of those are required for your job. So, Phoebes, are you ready to test your knowledge on security clearances?
I am. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Wonderful. So, my first question for you, what is a collateral clearance?
A collateral clearance. Okay. Um, a collateral clearance is a clearance granted to someone when I do not know. I was trying to like, okay, what does the word collateral mean? Like collateral damage. Like where
Right.
does
You
the
use it in a
clearance
sentence.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know. That's one I've never heard of in my year here. I've never heard that come up.
and that's quite all right. Womp womp womp. You got your first one wrong. But next time we ask this question or you hear this question, you are certainly going to get it right. So, a collateral clearance is really just used to describe somebody who has a clearance without any special access authorization. So, I, I think you shouldn't have read into it as much, but that is what a collateral clearance is.
Interesting. So it's just someone
Yeah.
with a generic clearance, just and they're not in specific programs that need specific clearance for. Is that
Well, yeah. So it kind of leads into my second question,
okay?
which might give you a little bit of context. So, can you tell me what a special access program is?
So a special access program is an area where you need an appropriate level of clearance for a need to know basis. So it's either formal or informal, but it's basically it's tied to that collateral classified information. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, no, that was actually pretty
Yay!
good. And
Okay.
I used to have this really awesome metaphor for this. I'm gonna have to dig it up. It's on the news site somewhere. Like if a clearance, that collateral clearance, is like the treasure map, then the special access program is going to be like that secret code word, like to
Oh.
gain access to the treasure map, if that makes any sense. I'll
So
have to dig it up.
it's like the
But
secret writing on that you have to have a
yeah. Yeah,
decoder thing
like yeah, with
for.
like
Okay.
the different light, or if you have to put
Yeah.
like, a special
Yeah.
substance on it.
Like on the back
Um
of the Declaration of Independence.
Exactly. We're getting into some real national treasure stuff. But yeah, so a special access program is basically the eligibility for like SCI, or granted under very limited circumstances. So one of the things that we say when it comes to listing like a collateral clearance, whatever, but you really shouldn't be listing special access programs. Um, so and yeah, so I would say you got number 2 right,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
Well, so this one I feel like you should know, because we write about this entity all the time, both at clearancejobsblog.com and the news site. What is the Defense Office of Hearings and Appeals?
DOHA is the Defense Office of Hearing and Appeals, and they, I mean, their name is kind of what they do. They are in charge of handling, people who, get denied a clearance and then they appeal it. They're the ones who adjudicate whether or not in fact are officially denied for a clearance, or if upon second review of your information you then get access to classified information.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. It's basically
Yay!
a component that has primarily attorneys, obviously, administrative judges, administrative support personnel. They previously had personnel security specialists, but when DoD CAF was created, these personnel transferred to DoD CAF. So in 2015, Doha added personnel security specialists to their staff to perform some functions when it comes to credentialing. They receive a few thousand of the most problematic cases each year from the industry division of DoD CAF. And so those are those cases that you refer to, where whether they, decide that you, when you're going through the appeals process, for example, if you are going to be denied access or approved. So the judges there preside over personal appearances, similar to hearings of clearance applicants that are appealing clearance denials or revocations by other divisions of DoD CAF. So hopefully you don't find yourself at Doha. But if you do, we always say you need to consult a security clearance attorney. You need to mitigate some of the issues that may have been outlined in your statement of reasons, which is essentially a denial. Or if you recall, oh my gosh, when I filled out the SF-86, I forgot about this thing. You need to go ahead and try to mitigate those things before you get in front of Doha. So that was good. I approve. I
Okay.
approve that you
Okay.
got that one right.
All right.
Talking about denials, can a security clearance be reinstated after it has been terminated?
Yes, but after an appropriate amount of time. I don't know the exact time frame, but as if you've shown that you've changed your behavior, you've mitigated whatever the issue was that caused it to be denied or revoked, and a certain amount of time, it can at least be reviewed. Can't promise you that it's going to be cleared, but it can be reviewed.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. A person
Yay!
can get a clearance if they previously held one and the investigation has not gone out of date. The clearance can be reinstated by the agency that originally granted the clearance, or if it can be accepted. We're not saying reciprocity anymore. Transfer of trust is what we're saying. And so I know that timelines wise, like if you apply to an agency and you're a no go, there is an amount of time that you have to wait before you can apply to again. Um, But yeah, essentially you definitely can get a security clearance reinstated after it has been terminated. And so when we say termination, we mean more so not that you were fired from a job. Like if there was a loss of jurisdiction, that is a totally another topic. But after, let's say you do a stint outside of the world requiring where you worked, requiring a security clearance. This is getting it reinstated. And so recently I've heard, I mean, and this is not hard and fast because it's just chatter from individuals, but I've heard people getting interim clearances pretty quickly these days,
Hmm.
especially if you've had a clearance in the last couple years. So if you're looking to get back in, there is definitely hope. One of the biggest questions I know that I personally get is, can I obtain a security clearance on my own? So, Phoebes, can you?
No, you must be sponsored by an agency or company through uh, an agency. It cannot be just, hey, I'm sponsoring myself for a clearance. It would be pretty interesting if that were the case, but no.
Yeah. No, and on the flip side, I always, can I pay for my own clearance? Because a lot of people are under the impression that the contractor that they're applying to has to pay for it. So they're trying to see if they can use that as leverage to gaining a security clearance. And no, but the government contractor does not pay for the security clearance or the investigation. The government pays for that. And no, you cannot get a security clearance on your own. You have to be sponsored either by that cleared government contractor or a government agency if you decide to go the Govy route. Essentially, you have to have a contract, a mission, a program to attach yourself to. And that requires you to apply either to the federal government or to a defense contractor. So definitely can't get one on your own. And I feel like if they were, that would really be handing out clearances like candy, which I don't think that we
Yeah,
want.
no, kind of defeats the whole purpose of a security clearance.
Yeah, I agree. So, Phoebes, how long does it take to process a security clearance?
Ooh, well, that is a trick question because
Oh,
it depends on the level. So if we're talking, public trust versus secret versus top secret, it varies. Obviously, the more sensitive information you have access to, like for a top secret clearance, it's going to take a lot longer. I think this past quarter, I think I saw it was pretty high. Was it like 180 days or something? Was like
something around there.
the top, the amount of time.
Yeah.
But it
No,
changes.
you're right. Yep. That was a trick question. It does depend. It depends, obviously, well, not obviously, a lot of folks tuning in, if they've worked in this space, they understand that going through the clearance investigation, they base everything on the whole person concept. A lot of the times, too, I know that I've talked about this a lot recently because Marco Hakama over on the Clearance Jobs blog has been writing about how you can have a similar background or similar arrest record to someone else. And if you lie about it and the other person doesn't, they're more inclined to get the security clearance. I mean, the
Mhm.
caveat being depending on how long that arrest record is, what kind of arrest they were. But essentially, if you're, upfront and not willing to hide it, adjudicators are going to trust that, um, you know, you wouldn't share classified information or, be prone to blackmail or things like that. So yes, whole person concept. It really depends. If you are, let's say, a college student, your investigation might go a little bit quicker just because you don't have as long of a background to dive into. But yes, we never share. If somebody is applying for a security clearance, how long is it going to take? We have no idea. It really
No.
depends. But we can report on the fastest processing times, which is something that we always do at news.clearancejobs.com. So thanks for that plug, Phoebes. So, what will you be asked during a security clearance interview?
Ooh, um, so many things. Basically, your your life story and what led you to this point, why you want to get into this type of work. You're going to be asked about any run-ins with the law, your history with illegal substances, your history with alcohol, your relationships, what they're like. Do you have any ties to people who do illegal things? And, if so, is that an active friendship or family membership, or, is that in the past?
Whether you have a clearance currently or you're looking to get one, thinking about those adjudicative guidelines. So, thinking through your own background, how they relate to the adjudicative guidelines. Those are some of the things that background investigators are going to be touching on. But really, it is to verify the accuracy of the standard form or 85 or 86 that you filled out. So they're looking to verify that information. If there are any issues that have come up through the background investigators interviews with your references that you listed, they'll also be verifying that information. Like if the stories aren't lining up, they're going to definitely be asking you during your subject interview. So, and kind of same thing for the polygraph. So when you're preparing for, we don't say really prepare for a polygraph, but when thinking about, going through that process or just going through your interview with a background investigator, just thinking back to the SF-86, and it all really starting from the beginning when you're filling that out, you should just be honest to avoid some of those issues that might pop up. So
Yes.
yes, that is great. And sometimes if you've done something
Yay!
a little, I'm trying to think of a word other than saucy. Saucy sounds
Spicy?
like, yeah, spicy. Spicy, yeah. If you've done anything in high school, that would certainly come up.
Mhm.
So, Phoebe, should I reveal unfavorable information about myself on my security clearance application?
Well, if you did something unfavorable and the question is on the form, yes, but definitely utilize the additional comment section to expand on that unfavorable thing about yourself, to explain how you've learned from your mistakes and you are no longer that person.
Yay!
Yes, that you are doing fantastic this go around.
Oh,
So,
thank
if
you.
you do have something unfavorable in your background that the question on the SF-86 is asking about, yes, you do need to reveal that information. On the flip side, if really think about the question that they're asking, because I can recall for one Ask CJ, that's a column that we share every Saturday at news.clearancejobs.com. Somebody was asking about, I got a fake ID in college. Do I need to reveal that on the SF-86? They were never charged. Nothing really ever came of it. They just got a fake ID or acquired a fake ID somehow. I don't recall the form ever asking specifically about if you ever got a fake ID. So just paying attention to the questions that are actually being asked. And if it happens to be something unfavorable, yes, definitely answer it and reveal it using the comment section like Phoebe relayed. And you can at least sleep soundly knowing that you shared all of the information honestly. And so when that background investigator does come knocking, you shouldn't be sweating too bad. So all right, Phoebes. Like I said, you've done fantastic this go around. I know that you just came up on a year of working with clearancejobs.com, but I mean, you know so much about security clearances. So, my last question for you, where can I search for jobs that require a security
Oh,
clearance?
well, this one I definitely can speak on. You can go to clearancejobs.com and create a free profile and search for all of the security cleared jobs until your little heart is content. And even if you don't have a profile with us and you're just thinking about, hey, maybe I want to try to get sponsored. Maybe I'm in college and I'm looking for, my career path. You can still browse the jobs. You can't create a profile, you can't apply to those jobs, but you can look at them. So you have a good idea of, the hot spots that are hiring and, just to see what's out there. What's the salaries like? What is the schedule like? You'll be able to find that on clearancejobs.com.
I love that. Everyone, if you do have an active clearance, you should definitely be networking on ClearanceJobs.com. We are the largest career site for job seekers that have an active security clearance. I know that timelines have changed recently, so if you have used it in the last 3 years, you're definitely eligible to create a free profile on our site. I would join groups. I would refresh that profile if you haven't logged in a little bit of time. I would respond to recruiters' broadcast messages or direct messages. And then I would also check out some of the live videos that we have coming up. That's the newest functionality at clearancejobs.com. And it's a really great way to engage with employers. For recruiters, it's an excellent way to engage with job seekers that might be passive in the job market. And then lastly, I did want to tease too, at the end of this month, we are going to be at the Intel Summit for Career Conversations, which is going to be a pre-conference career fair and networking event. It's taking place prior to the start of AFCEA and the Intelligence and National Security Alliance's 11th Intelligence and National Security Summit. So that is going to be at the end of this month. We will be sure to link to that registration in the show notes. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to be able to network with leaders across the DoD and intelligence community. You're going to be able to talk to employers that are hiring if you're an active job seeker. I'm going to be reviewing resumes. So come, let me take a look at your resume. I'm happy to also share networking tips and things of that nature. We're going to have a headshot lounge. And, most importantly, we're going to have a fantastic time. So for all of you listeners, please visit us at news.clearancejobs.com and refresh your profile at clearancejobs.com.